This is just for the drop-down mechanism and reverse lights. First, you got to figure out what monitor and camera you're going to use. Remember, the camera has to fit in a spot that's about 1.3 inches wide, 1.2 inches high, and 1.5 inches deep. But remember also, since you have 1.2 inches of height, only about 0.8 inches of that actually sticks out from the bottom. For the monitors that come with these cameras, you can have suction cup mounts to the dash, rear view mirrors that replace your rear view mirror and have a light in a monitor inside the rear view mirror, or you can do a Wi-Fi setup to your phone or tablet. Although those are a bit more manual, you have to manually pull up the picture with those. They're not quite as automatic, and I feel like they're more problematic. Or do what I did and do the pop-up from the speaker grill, but I do not have a kit for that. That is way more intensive, requires pulling the dash and adding supports and a lot more work. One of the first things you have to figure out is what kind of camera you have and how you're going to make it fit in your pod. I tried these flush fit cameras, and that's the cleanest install, but it wouldn't work with my monitor. This is actually the cleanest look and gives you the most room for wires, but you have to figure out what works for your system. And also, they come with different ends, some of RCA, some of this little plug. The camera I ended up getting only had this plug, and I plugged into RCA. It didn't work right. So I was using this and had to use a different style camera. Also, sometimes they'll come with different mounts that you can unscrew the face and make it a flush mount. So that's the cleanest look. You can also do a flush mount, one of these adapters. So this adapter slides in to the top and mounts inside this generic pod, open pod. And I have a few different mount options here that basically you have to figure out how to make your camera fit and glue it into one of these, or do something to attach it. So the next best way to do it, what I took was this right here, and the rails slide in, and my camera, I made this the size so that my camera is a square camera, fits right into those sides, like friction fit. And then I basically took some of the ABS glue and glued all the way around it. Now, the camera case may not be ABS, so I'm not really sure that it bonded to the camera. That doesn't really matter. I kind of surrounded it so it can't go anywhere, and there's really no forces on it. Now, that could have gone right into this generic camera mount, generic pod here, and been fine. But it will fit in there. But if you can make it fit, the next cleanest install is, so we do this one-handed, is to line your camera up so it sneaks out that hole. So that's almost as good as the flush mount. If you can get your camera to sit up in there in one of these other mounts and fit behind the flush mount pod. Remember, the tag light goes in the last set of pins, and then the two reverse lights go on the first two set of pins. And you just have to match up the ground, so you can see the ground wire here is on this side. You match the ground on all these pins to the left side, and then once you get those plugged in, then you pull on this wire here to slide that whole mess up inside, and then that's how you get it together. When routing these wires for the backup cameras, come down on the left side of the passenger light here and come down in the front. So what's going to happen is you're going to plug it in here and then push it back up on the back side. So come down out here and plug them in. So now when you've got these plugged in here, you've got reverse light, tag light, and then you should be able to wiggle these in right up there as you close this up. And don't forget the anti-slip gasket here. All right, first take a look at your lens to see where it sits stock. It's probably right about there, just so where you can just see that screw a little bit, so it doesn't really tuck up all the way up in there, generally stock. And notice that it's not level, that it will go up a little further in the front than it does in the back. So you're going to be taking out these three screws. So that one, and sorry, that one and that back one. You don't have to mess with the ones holding the lens in, and you don't have to mess with the ones holding the tag surround in. Just the ones holding this light bracket in. So there's three. One, two up front, that one all the way in the back. So note, if you're getting the assembled kit from me, these are done in my garage by hand. So like these cuts aren't perfect. I slipped off a little bit there, you can see. So these cuts aren't perfect. If you want those cuts to be perfect, buy the kit, cut it yourself. I will make sure that the face here, the only part you can see, doesn't have any scratches in it. But that looks good. And I'll throw paint on it if silver paint on it if needed. You know, want to get it all assembled with those spacers. Make sure those spacers are in there and give you a kind of an idea of where it's going to line up when installed on the car, as far as the height there for your lens. But also you want to make sure that it goes up and down smoothly. Another thing to keep in mind though is when you have it down, the camera only sticks out so far. So you may see some of the top or some of the bottom. So it's important now to go check that and look at your monitor here. And notice on mine, the way I have it set up, you see just a little bit on the edges, top, bottom, on both sides. So it's the camera is centered really well in the window that I have available. Once you're happy with how the lens tucks up and how much you can see out of your camera and your monitor, you're going to take this apart a little bit. You're going to take out the 1/4-20, the main bolts here, and then these three bolts here. You don't need these spacers anymore. Now we're going to fish this up there through the hole. You can do it through this hole, and then this up from the bottom. Put those 3 mount screws in. That should be fairly easy. One more note, unless you're on a towel like this, avoid setting it down like this. I know it looks like a nice stable way to set it down, but that's how you scratch up the bottom. Ask me how I know. You're gonna have to wire the other side of this plug to your car. Order doesn't matter as long as it matches whatever you wired this to if you built your kit. If you got one from me already built, they're gonna be wired in this order. The top there is red, that is gonna be switched hot. So this only has power when the key is on. The next one down is the tag light. The white's tag light. Blue is reverse, so it's power when you put it in reverse. And then the bottom black one there is ground. So this will be other side of this that you'll wire to the car like that. Colors are probably different on that. But I almost forgot to mention, in these holes that were where you took your original license plate light out from, there'll be J-nuts, little slide over things. You have to take those out and throw them away. We don't need them. We're doing a through bolt that goes from the bottom up and then into the captured nut and the body in the main body mount here, which I've slid up into the hole in mine here. And now you can see that body is up in there. I have the 3 mounts mounting my trim ring back in, and my wiring is done in the car and plugged in, and whatever your camera wires are plugged in. Ignore this. This is a wire I didn't end up using. And then you want to put your car in reverse and then turn the key off. What that'll do is it'll extend it and leave it down. And then once it's down, then we can just slide it up into the hole. And then once you slide it up into the hole, you put the 2 1/4-20 nuts in from the back and then tighten them down. To put those 1/4-20s in, you want a 3/8, 7/16, and then a 3/8 to 1/4 adapter. What this really does is just give you a very tiny extension so that you can get it in there. It's just the right distance to get in there, not too far to hit the frame. So that's going to be the easiest way to get in there. Without that extension, if you just had a 1/4 inch socket there, that makes it really hard to get in there. You get it all installed, and then you find out that your lens adjustment here was too deep, too shallow, and you want to adjust it. First, before you tell that, you have to tighten those 2 1/4-20s. Get everything tight, and then do it up, let it go up and down. And then if you're not happy with it, to adjust it, what you want to do is you want to break the one on the passenger side loose, and then take the driver's side one all the way out, and that will allow you to swing this down so that then you can get to this nut right here. that screw right there. If you take and loosen that screw, then you can move the slider up and down to get it where you want and then tighten it back up. Keeps you from having to take both those bolts out. Then you put it back up and put that driver's side bolt back in, tighten both of them up, and then check your adjustment again.